everybody, thank you for tuning in for another video. And if you haven't already watched the labor and delivery vlog, please go watch that first before tuning into this video, because this video is really going to be me talking about my reaction, my experience, and giving more of the details that were kind of missing through that. So I know a lot of folks had a lot of questions because I was getting a lot of DMs about it, like, yo, what happened here, what did this, what did that. So I'm gonna kind of go over everything. I have notes on my phone, so if you see me looking down or you see me on my phone, that's just me making sure that I'm intentionally highlighting everything that I really want to pour into this video. So first off, I want to start off by saying thank you for taking the time to really invest into my birthing story and my birthing experience. It's such a magical and personal experience for me, so being able to open it up to the world is something that does seem a little scary, but I feel like there's so much that we can learn from each other. And so putting out my experience, I hope that folks can be inspired to either learn one or two things or to just kind of watch and enjoy, right? So going into it, I really want to start off by talking about the importance of a doula. If y'all seen in the videos, I had Sabrina, my doula, who's also a great friend, who was very present even during pregnancy. She pretty much created presentations throughout my entire pregnancy that allowed for my partner and I to really know everything that was going on, know about our rights, know about our options, knowing about risk and benefits per any procedure or medication or injection, things of that sense. And so I feel like having a doula is really important because it's almost like, I'm a very athletic person. I grew up playing a bunch of sports, so how I see it is like, if you know there's a game day coming up, which is like, you know, going through labor and delivery, you got, I mean, at least I personally want to be prepared for it. Like, I don't want to just show up to game day without all the practicing and just in my head assume that everything's gonna go the way I want it to go. So I thought it was really important for me to have a doula present, because not having my doula present or having the experience of having someone who knows so much information would have caused me to have so much anxiety and fear on that day. A lot of folks who are watching were like, you know, it was so peaceful, like the way you were experiencing labor, your support and all that. And I truly want to say all that came from having a doula, because I knew that that's something that I could have and could experience. So I highly recommend one if y'all can. If y'all can't, I definitely understand. Coming into this motherhood, you realize that there's a lot of things that are limited to us, such as knowledge of what we can have or can't have, or what is a doula. Some people think that doulas are the same as midwives, and they're absolutely not. They're not the same, and that's okay, you know, that we don't know that information, because I'm here to present it to you. So one thing that I really want to highlight is that I really struggle with patience, y'all. Like, when I say I struggle with patience, like, God gave me everything, and then he was like, you know, let's leave patience out a little bit, let's humble her and some experiences. And so this was one of those experiences. I do not like to wait longer than what I need to wait, you know. And so when it came to my pregnancy, I was already a week over my due date when I had my membrane sweep. So they kind of just I had an appointment with my midwife, and I kind of just hinted that, you know, I was wanting something natural to allow me to kind of naturally induce labor. Now I tried everything. I tried the dates, I tried the teas, I tried like pretty much everything that you can think of, and I still wasn't experiencing any signs of labor. And so for me, I was almost like, I was over it. I'm not gonna lie, I was over being pregnant. I was like, get my son out of me, because I just can't do it no more. And if you've been 9 months pregnant and 9 months pregnant past your due date, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's hard to move, hard to eat, hard to do anything. You just feel like there's so much pressure down there. It's so uncomfortable. And so I unfortunately decided to do a membrane sweep because I was that desperate to get him out. And I didn't have any signs of labor after that. So I want to say it was a Tuesday I had the membrane sweep, and then it was a Saturday, it was a Friday night that I noticed like 2 little drops. I promise you, there were so little, 2 little drops coming down my leg on Friday. And to me, it wasn't something that was an alert, because it was almost like, okay, I'm supposed to experience this huge gush, but my doula prepared me. It could look any kind of way. My mother was here, my sister was here, and because they experienced my sister going into labor twice, they're like, no, it's supposed to be a gush of water. So I was kind of hesitant to hit up my midwife, but I decided to do it anyway, which I'm thankful I did, because when I hit up my midwife, she was the one who was like, you know, let's let's test it out, you know. I didn't text her till Saturday, mind you. So Saturday afternoon I text her because I was like, you know, I just want to be cautious, like just in case. I just want her to have a heads up that, you know, baby might be coming this week. So she hits me up and she's like, you know, let's test it. She texts me Sunday. She's like, you know, is there any more signs? Like, what's going on? What's an update? Gave her the update that nothing else had really happened after that. I also didn't have the mucus plug come out either. I was wiping and they'd be like little pieces here and there, but it wasn't like one big gulp, like, which was like the normal experience that a lot of folks have. So I had no signs that I was actually like in labor. So Sunday, my doula, my mother, my man, my sister, we're like, you know, let's go to the beach. In the previous videos, you can see us doing a lot of the works of like doing our positions and kind of like just preparing, you know, mentally and physically of what we were gonna do when the real time came. Little did I know, y'all, that I was already in labor. I showed up to my well, first, before I even get to my midwife, I want to talk about ceremony my doula did. My doula allowed for us to walk up to the water, and she brought rose petals. And so at first it was just me and her, and she gave me rose petals, and she's like, every rose petal that you release into the water, like you're releasing something with it, right? So whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety, whether it's stress, like whatever it is that you want to release and not carry into your experience, let it go right here at the water. And it was such a cool ceremony because I have my eyes closed and I'm, you know, dedicating rose petals out to release what I didn't want, but also dedicating rose petals to experiences that I did want to have and who I was calling upon to be there. Like my grandma who passed away, I really wanted her to be a part of that experience, so calling upon her and really allowing for that connection to be just so magical and so powerful. So then we go back and then my midwife texts me, she wants me to come in that night. So it was her son's birthday party. And she's like, if any signs happen, let me know. You know what I mean? I'm willing to be there. But if it's just like a couple drops, you haven't had nothing since, like, I think we should be fine. I still want to test that fluid. So we go into Applebee's after the beach, and I'm like, you know, I'm about to grub. And I even called it the Last Supper, like I was joking about it. Like, oh, this is going to be the Last Supper. And it sure was. Because after that, we went into the birthing center, and then that's when the video started of the last vlog. When I'm sitting in bed, my family comes, and they're like, so what happened? I'm explaining, like, yo, she came, she checked, I was 5 centimeters. She was shocked I was 5 centimeters. I was shocked I was in 5 centimeters already. How the hell did we get here? Some folks are probably like, how did you get to 5 centimeters and didn't know? Y'all, I had no idea. Like, there was no way that I could have known because my contractions weren't, I guess they weren't what I was expecting it to be or what everybody painted it out to be for me. They felt like really strong Braxton Hicks. Like, I just felt like tightness and then it'll let go, and then tightness and let go. And then there were some times where my mom would be like, are you having a contraction? I'm like, I don't know, can you touch my stomach and tell me? And she would have to feel and be like, yeah, you're having a contraction right now. So I don't know, my midwives called me a unicorn for that reason. They're like, we've never seen anybody who had an experienced labor this way, like wasn't in excruciating pain, which is what they were used to. My doula kind of reassured me that I did the work. She was like, no, you did the work. You know how to cope with your body. You're coping, like you're breathing through every contraction, you're meditating, you're taking yourself here, you're taking yourself there. So that's why that whole experience of me at the birthing center was really just me, like with my eyes closed, like almost in a trance. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, even though I was like right there, like going through labor, mentally I was somewhere else. Like, I felt like I had exited my body and was like at the beach and just, you know, kind of like in these peaceful environments outside. So I made it all the way up into 8 centimeters, y'all, and still with the same contractions. Like, nothing's becoming more intense. And my midwives, I could see them in the corner kind of talking amongst each other, like almost like confused. So I'm a person that I like to keep it real with me, I keep it real with you. So I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, what's happening? They're like, honey, you're just a unicorn. Like, we're shocked at 8 centimeters, you know, we're used to folks like not being able to move, not being able to talk, not being able to do this, and you're just dancing, you're walking, you're talking, you're laughing, you're engaging with folks. Like, it's just a different experience. That's all she kept saying. It's just a different experience. And so she's like, it doesn't mean that anything's wrong, you know. She was like, but you know, we're kind of just going along, we're learning with you at this point. And so it made me feel good because I'm like, okay, I'm doing a thing. We're 8 centimeters, so we get in the water, and I'm like, oh my son about to come. Huh, baby, you was about to come in the water. So I thought. My midwife also brought my doula also brought the same roses from that we used at the beach, and we had those roses around the bathtub, and still putting the petals in the water and dedicating them to a family member, or like bringing positive energy this time. And I went into a trance again, and I was in that water for, I want to say, like about an hour, because you know when the water starts to get cold, you turn it on a little bit more to make it warm, you turn it off, start getting cold again. And my midwives wanted to check in, like, okay, you should definitely, in 2 hours, you should definitely be at 10 centimeters. So let's see if we should start pushing, or what do you feel, you know, kind of like an update. So they checked. I was still at 8 centimeters, y'all. And my station, which is like what you learn, your station is like, there's negative numbers, and then there's the 0, and then there's the positive number. So when the baby's a negative station, it's basically, it's not yet in the cervix ready to come down. When the baby's in positive numbers, it's like it's ready to come out. So he was still in the negative number. So then they're like, okay, let's try to do more exercises to get this going. You know, we gotta really push, because I was already leaking since Friday, and at this point it's a high risk for infection. So we really want to like move along and not like stall. So I get up, and in the video y'all see me kind of moving around. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm dancing. I'm kind of like really trying to get, I know, baby, you want me to turn it up for you? So I'm really trying to just allow myself to focus on getting him out, right? So I was at 8 centimeters, y'all, for like, I'm not gonna lie, for maybe about like 16 hours without any changes. So then now it became a concern of like, okay, what are we gonna do? What's gonna happen? Some things that I am gonna take accountability for, because I don't have patience, is I did have a memory sweep. And there was a point early in my labor when my midwife suggested potentially popping the water bag herself to allow, you know, contractions and labors to kind of go faster. That wasn't the case. We did pop the water. I'm gonna go grab him quick. 1 second. My baby, what you want? What you want, my chicken? You over it? You probably hungry because mama's boobies hurt. So, sorry y'all. Little man wants to make an appearance, but it's just gonna be his little forehead. So yeah, so basically, doing the, like manually popping the water bag kind of didn't work out the way we thought it was. And I highly recommend folks to just let your body do its thing. Like, don't, have patience, okay? Don't do what I did. Have patience. Allow your body to do, it knows what to do, right? Sometimes when we try to interfere and jump into it, we mess it up. And that's exactly what I feel like I kind of did. I self-sabotaged myself and really prevented myself from having that water birth that I wanted. Bear with me. Hi, take a butt. You want to say hi real quick? Yes, baby. Say hi, Tata Butt. Say hi, everybody. Yeah, mama's talking about you. The doctor, my midwife comes in and she tells me, like, Desi, you know, we highly recommend that you probably go to the hospital. It's been 16 hours, no progress. Like, at this point, we tried everything that we can do. Like, we've really worked to get, you know, baby K to come out. And at this point, we really just want to make sure you both are okay. When she told me that, y'all, I shut down. Like, I just stopped talking. I didn't have no eye contact with him anymore because I was, you know, I was upset. I didn't want to go to the hospital. I was scared. And when they asked, you know, what I wanted to do, I was like, can I just have a moment with my man? Everybody walked out the room, and I kid y'all not, I cried so hard. I just hugged him and just cried, and he just allowed for me to, like, release that, because we all knew what my goals were. We all knew what kind of birthing experience I wanted to have. And so after that, it was just kind of like, this is the new reality. I looked at, and based on my son's name, like, I was like, you know what? We can't give up. Like, this is what his name is. This is what his name means. Like, we gotta do what we gotta do, what we came here to do. So sure enough, y'all, I decided that I was gonna try for another hour. Give me another hour to be able to really, like, get this going. So sure enough, this is when I started jogging around. I'm like really trying, like, to do everything. If you see in a video of me, I was dancing at one point. I was dancing to just dance, like really trying to get him out. And After about an hour, they checked and still nothing, y'all. So at that point, I just accepted, like, it is what it is. Like, let's just go to the hospital. Luckily, my midwife found a hospital that really pushes for vaginal births, and that's kind of what I wanted. She suggested, like, maybe I should get Pitocin because she was still unknown as to what was happening with my body. She was like, maybe it's the contractions, like maybe they're not strong enough for you to be in a place to really start pushing him out. Because again, my contractions weren't rough, like they were just like almost like Braxton Hicks. Like some of them were a little intense, but it wasn't like excruciating, which she told me it should have been at that point at 8 centimeters. Yeah, so we get to the hospital and they put me on Pitocin, and immediately they're like, do you want the epidural? I'm like, no thank you sir, I got this. And you know, I'm going at it for a while, and at one point the Pitocin, now that Pitocin, y'all, hell no, never again. I would never get Pitocin in my life again. So number one, that Pitocin, it intensifies your contractions, and then it also makes them closer together. So those little breaks that I was having between the contractions at the birthing center were no longer existing here at the hospital without Pitocin. I'm telling you, I didn't even have time to breathe. Like, it was almost like I was going through one and, like, you know, like doing everything I'm not supposed to. Now I'm tensing up. Now they're stronger. And at this point, I was like, this shit is hard. I was like, is this what contractions are supposed to feel like? Because fuck, that shit was intense. So after that, basically what happens is I still deny the epidural. I'm like, no, I'm fine, thank you. But what I didn't know is that the Pitocin levels were going up every hour. So it goes from Pitocin level 1, Pitocin level 2. I made it to Pitocin level 6, and I'm not kidding y'all, that was rough. So yeah, I'm at Pitocin level 6 at this point, and I kid y'all not, it is excruciating. I'm like, damn near feel like somebody took a knife to my stomach and they was just stabbing me everywhere because I had no time to breathe in between. Everything that worked at the birthing center was not working at the hospital. I kid you not. The whole breathing exercises, the affirmations, when people would start talking, I was like, just shut up. Like, I was like, just don't talk. And then when my man was trying to like support with the back massages, I was like, don't touch me, like just don't touch me. Like, and it got to a point where I started to get really stressed out. The doctor comes in, and the doctor introduces himself, and then that had the baby monitor that goes around your stomach, and it kept falling out of place or something was wrong with it. So he starts instructing the nurses to go prepare for to insert a baby monitor. And what he says is, this is his literal words: we're going to insert a baby monitor, we're going to do this and da-da-da to make sure we can keep track of his levels. And first off, didn't even ask me for permission if they could do that. It just was an automatic, this is what we're gonna do. Luckily, my doula, y'all, prepared me for all interventions that happen at the hospital, so I knew exactly what the risk factor was. I knew all the medical terms that I normally would not have known. So all the medical terms they were using, every time they talk, I knew exactly what they were saying, which was important because it allowed for me to advocate for myself. So when it came to this baby monitor that they were going to insert in, I was literally in the bed in excruciating pain, and I'm finding the words to say, I do not give you consent, I do not give you consent, I do not give you consent. He's not listening to me. So at one point I had to look at him and say, I do not give you consent to use a baby monitor or to insert a baby monitor onto my child. And then he looks at my doula, and my doula's like, she's saying she doesn't give you consent. He gets upset and he's like, you know what, that's your child's life. And then like storms out. And yeah, like unnecessary, you know what I mean? But I'm not gonna lie, it did have impacts because I knew what I was doing. First off, there was no high risk factors that he needed that. Like, it wasn't like a real emergency that he needed it. So what they were doing was trying to insert the baby monitor that they were talking about. It has a little corkscrew on it, and they screw it into the baby's head from the inside. They screw it into your baby's head, y'all. So I'm like, if it's absolutely not necessary, you're not touching my child. So after he said that, I got mad, and then it was this, oh, your blood pressure is really high, which normally if your blood pressure is high during pregnancy, most of the time it's because you're stressed out and you're in a stressful situation. So at one point I'm like, you know what, just fuck it, like give me the epidural. Once I have the epidural, then not only can I relax and kind of like come back in tune, but I can fucking rest. I'm tired. It's been 4 days of this mess, and I'm in a position where I'm just ready to let it go. I'm ready to just surrender. And it's almost like I felt like I don't want to say I was forced into that, because it's not like I had a gun to my head, but I just felt like the way everything was going and the way that I was being talked to and treated and almost having to advocate for myself all the time, I just felt defeated. And at this point I was just tired. I was so tired. And I really want to highlight that. Follow what your body needs, okay? Sometimes it's all right. You know, things don't go the way we want them to, and that's fine. Then 2 hours, I made it to 10 centimeters. So now it's time to push. So I'm pushing, I'm getting ready to like be excited to have that magical moment where they put my son on my chest and I just bond him and I cry. You know, like that whole moment, that whole experience, I was so ready for it. Pushed for 3 hours. He did not move at all, not 1 inch. Now he was still in the negative numbers when it came to the station that I was talking about earlier. So after that, they're like, ma'am, we have to check your temperature, because at this point I'm hella shivering, and that's a normal reaction with the epidural, I heard. But it was to a point where I was like, ooh, like I couldn't even talk. So they checked my temperature and I had a fever. So now I have an infection, right? And I knew I was gonna have an infection, because y'all, when I tell you the amount of cervical checks I had, at this point they're like, we have to do a C-section. Like, we just absolutely have to at this point. Your son is at risk of infection, and we do not want that to be, you know, his experience. So I'm not gonna lie, I didn't cry when they said, I was already numb. That's the best way I could put it. I was already numb. I was just like, what else can go wrong? You know what I mean? You just kind of accept everything. So when they kind of pushed me away on that C-section, I was scared, I'm not gonna lie. On that pushed me to the C-section room, I was terrified. So then I get to the room, and then they didn't let my man in yet. They're getting me ready, they're transferring me to the table, they're giving me the injection in my back. And they're laying me down. So at this point I lay down and I'm still shivering a little bit, but nothing too intense. Tell me why, y'all, that they strapped my arms down on the fucking table. So I'm sitting here laying down and I'm like, can't even move my arms, I'm strapped down. And I'm like, sir, why am I strapped down? Oh, it's just so you don't move. It's just so, you know, when they're cutting you, that you don't try to pull off the sheet. And I'm like, I'm not going to. He would not. Then at some point he just stopped listening to me when I was asking him to let me out of this thing. So then my man comes in and he looks at me and he's like, why did they have you strapped down? I said, I don't know, I've been telling him to take it off. So he's like, oh no. He's like, excuse me, why is she strapped down? And the doctor or the nurse, whoever he was, really explained to him the same thing. You know, it was just in case. He was like, no. He was like, I know it seems a little barbaric, but he was like, no. You're gonna take these straps off of her right now. Like, if anything, I'll hold her hands. Like, we're not gonna have her strapped to this table. So they're telling me I'm gonna feel a bunch of pressure going on. So in a sense, I see a bunch of doctors walking around and I'm just waiting for that pressure. And I'm looking at my man and I'm just telling him I'm so scared. I was like, I'm scared. Like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Woo. Being on that table, y'all, it's so scary. Like, you sign a paper first off that says that you could die on that table and you can't sue. Like, it's a liability thing that you kind of give up. So you almost surrender yourself and put yourself in a position to where you literally sacrifice yourself to give birth to your child. And it's so hard. So I'm waiting for them to start the tugging and I don't feel nothing. All of a sudden I hear a baby crying and I'm like, damn, they got somebody else up in here. Like, I'm like, wasn't even aware that was my son that came out. And all of a sudden I see my man get up and where the sheet is, my man is on one side. So the sheets, let's say the sheet's right here, right? My man is right here where I could see him. The baby's right on, maybe on the edge or the other side. So I can't see the baby at all. And I'm just laying on the table just watching my man's reaction. And I hear the baby crying. So I'm of course crying. And I hear my man, the first thing he said was, oh my God, he has so much hair. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to use my imagination. Like, oh, what does he look like? And I'm seeing my man jump up and down. He's crying and he's just having this beautiful moment with our child. And I'm sitting here just can't see shit. So that part was really hard for me, was watching him have that moment that I dreamed of that I couldn't have, And I was like, it's okay, they're gonna bring him to me, And so I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and it felt like, honestly, 10 minutes and still nothing. And at this point I was in and out. Like, I don't remember too much after that. And it ended up being that I passed out because I was losing too much blood. And so they had to, because my son's sugar was low, they had to rush him to the NICU too. So my man said that they were getting ready to just take the baby out without even showing him to me. And so my man was the one that was like, yo, can we show her the baby? And they're like, yeah, but make it quick. So my man says, he walks up to me, he shows me like, look baby, this is our son. He said that I literally, I kid y'all not, so if he came from there, he said that I literally looked at him like this, looked at the baby, and then I turned her back around. And he said that was all I gave. Like, it was almost like, he said it was almost like I wasn't there. So I don't have no memory of that at all. Like, I don't remember meeting him like that. I don't remember seeing him, because I would, you know, that's a special moment. I would have remembered that, but I just wasn't there. So they rush off. I don't have no memory after any of that. So I wake up and I'm in the recovery room, and the reason why I woke up is because they're pressing on my stomach super hard, and you know, I'm feeling everything, and that stomach massage is like super painful. They said this to get all the blood clogs out. So I wake up and I'm like, where's my son? Where's my baby? You know, and they're like, he's in the NICU, like you'll see him soon. They just kept saying you'll see him soon. So I'm like, okay, at this point I don't have a phone, there's nobody in the room with me. I'm kind of just sitting there just waiting, imagining what he looks like. Is he okay? Am I okay? I just went through a huge surgery. Like, you know, it's almost like you're just kind of analyzing everything. And so when I made it to the recovery room, when they transferred me into the room where I would be for a couple days, they told me I couldn't meet my son for 12 hours, y'all. I was like, 12 hours? What you mean I can't meet my son for 12 hours? They're like, yeah, you have to be in a position to where you can feel your legs. We have to make sure that you're able to move around. And mind you, because my son's in the NICU, it would have been different if he was okay, he would have been in my room, so it would have been different. That wasn't the case at all. I had to go to him. So 12 hours they told me I had to wait, and I couldn't wait that long. So what I ended up doing was calling my man on FaceTime, and that's how I met my son. You don't believe that? Like, I mean, I'm thankful that I was able, for technology and being able to experience that, but I met my son through FaceTime, y'all. So I'm not gonna lie, when the first time I actually really saw him, it was like that attachment. It's hard to explain. I didn't feel attached right away, and I didn't feel like, oh my god, it wasn't that magical moment that I thought I was gonna have. So that part was really hard for me. And yeah, I felt like I was doing what I had to do as a mother in terms of like breastfeeding, trying to get my milk supply up, being there for every minute. Like, I would walk to his room all the time from the labor room to go see him, and to make it to every feeding every 3 hours, and then to pump. Like, I was really doing everything I was supposed to do for him, but I felt like I just wasn't emotionally there for myself, and that was really hard for me. So if there's anything that I could highly recommend, because my battery's about to die, anything that I could highly recommend for folks who are watching this, who are thinking about having kids or maybe pregnant right now, is to just let your body do its thing. Let it just do its thing. Your body knows what it's supposed to do, right? Unless you need absolutely medical attention, like, definitely, like, take it all. But know what options you have, know what your rights are, because it's really important that we start advocating for ourselves in those spaces. Like, we have rights over our bodies still. I feel like hospitals sometimes lack compassion to where they treat us like we're just patients, and we gotta remind them, like, bro, I'm human too. Like, I got emotions, I got feelings too, you know? And so yeah, that's my birthing story. And I'm gonna just cherish this one right here, because this is the biggest blessing that I could have had through it all. It's the only reason why I feel like I'm still sane right now, even though that experience was super traumatic. I wanted you to come out so peaceful in the water, but you're here and you're safe. So I feel like I was trying to talk too fast. That's okay, I was just trying to get y'all the information. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna let y'all go, let y'all have a blessed day. And I feel like the next video that I'll post would be our NICU experience, and why he was in the NICU and how that went, because that was also an experience too. And I really want to advocate for mothers who are going through that and bring awareness to that, because it's not easy. But we love y'all. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Stay blessed, stay healthy, and always function at your higher frequency. We love y'all, and we'll see you next video. Okay, it's not gonna be for long. I'll see you again soon. Bye.